listening to some scary animations, but right now, 14 horror stories. Let's see. I wonder, will they really be that scary? I'll have to find out.
I was looking for a car to buy for my son for his 18th birthday. I was searching all the typical car websites, Cars.com, eBay Motors. They were all overpriced as expected. Craigslist was the only place to find an actual deal. About a week into my search, I found an '03 Toyota Camry. It had 67,000 miles, no accidents, no damage, and good condition for only $3,500. This seems like a steal for such a reliable car with such low mileage. The seller lived about 10 miles from me, which was a reasonable drive when looking for a car. I gave him a call to set up a time to come check it out. The man sounded normal on the phone. He assured me that there were absolutely no problems with the car. He introduced himself as Bob. I brought along $3,500 in cash, even though I planned on wiggling down the price as much as possible. I pulled up the dirt road to Bob's property about 15 minutes early. It was a tiny little house with a decent-sized property, only because it was a bit far from the nearest neighbors. The garage was open, so I walked over to see if anybody was inside, but except for an unusual amount of car parts, it was empty. The car was nowhere in sight. The only car on the property was an old pickup truck. I went over to the front door to check the house numbers. It was the right address. The doorbell button was missing, so I knocked on the front door. I knocked for exactly 5 minutes before deciding to give the man a call. So I dialed his number, and I heard the sound of a cell phone ringing from inside the house. I was extremely confused at this point. Now I knew I had the right house. I didn't understand why, if he was home, why he wasn't answering. I decided I had to take a peek through one of the windows to see if anybody was inside. Peering through the glass, I couldn't really see much as it was pretty dark inside the house. I saw a very old-fashioned dining room set, but across from that, I saw somebody standing at the back door of the house, staring outside. I figured that must have been Bob, so I knocked on the window, but he didn't even move. There was no gate or anything to the backyard. It was just a wide-open yard, since this wasn't a rural area. I simply walked around the house to the backyard. I didn't understand how he couldn't hear me. When I got to the back door, I made a shocking realization. The figure standing by the door was a taxidermied human being. I ran straight back the way I came and back to my car. I looked up one last time before driving off. The blinds to the window I had peeked into had been shut, but I could see 2 of the blinds bent open. Somebody was at that window watching me. You can probably guess I had the gas pedal to the floor the whole way home. The whole situation still makes no sense. All the car parts, the fact that there was no Toyota Camry, the taxidermied human being, the fact that there was no car there leads me to believe that whoever that man wasn't planning on selling me anything. And that also leads to the disturbing thought that I was very close to becoming a lifeless statue staring out that man's back door.
Okay, guys, now that was definitely a horror story. Very surprising. Let's just see more.
I was on tour trying to find some really deep websites. I was in a chat room where people normally shared links to deeper websites and weird pictures and videos, commonly illegal pornography. Some guy named Vintage XXX posted a link without describing what it was. I clicked on it, and it took me to a black screen where a big video box eventually popped up with a play button. The video thumbnail was a dark room, only lit by a TV screen. Out of curiosity, I clicked play, and began to hear the sound of TV static in the background as lines of static slowly swam down the video screen. There was no seek bar on this video. Then I noticed something slowly begin to emerge from behind the wall. It was a figure dressed in all black with some kind of black mask on as well. I started to suspect it was a jump scare video, and I thought I was right when the figure leaped out and ran to the screen in less than a second. It still got me, even though I was expecting it, but then it got strange. The person had their face in front of the screen, slowly moving around as if he could see me and was observing me. Then I heard a crackly, demonic voice say something. It came from the video. It repeated itself, and I could make the phrase out to be, "Ask me something." I was really confused. I tried typing something, but there was nowhere to enter text. Then he said, "No, not the keyboard. Say something." I felt my heart punch the inside of my chest as he said this. I opened my mouth and mumbled the words, "You can hear me?" It responded with, "Yes." I was uncomfortable now. I thought it was a video. I pressed pause, but it didn't do anything. He said, "Don't try to leave. I want to talk." I tried moving the mouse to the exit button, but the mouse was frozen. In fact, none of the keys were responding on my keyboard. There was a long moment of silence before my webcam began flashing as if it were on, and my face popped up on the screen. "There, I got a picture of you now. Now just hang on while I get your address, and then we can meet." I started to panic, smashing every key on the keyboard, spazzing the mouse, but it did nothing. I had my finger on the power button, but it also didn't do anything. The computer wouldn't turn off. The voice was saying crazy things like, "You're stuck here. I will find you. Don't even bother." I snatched the screwdriver sitting on my desk, unscrewed the 4 screws on the bottom of my laptop, and took out the battery. The computer finally turned off. I was gasping for air as if I just ran a marathon. My heart was pounding 5 times as fast as it should have. I have since left my laptop off after that, and have resorted to using my desktop as my main computer. I'm sure by now nothing will happen. He definitely didn't have enough time to get my address.
He's right there under the bed. Well, guys, that was pretty creepy. What's this? What's this?
Where can you find a burger that mixes the smoky with the sass of the South and the tang of the country for unexpected flavors? You can find it at McDonald's. The new Bacon Smokehouse Burger. It's the newest flavor of the signature crafted recipes by McDonald's.
All right, 8 detective riddles to test how awesome your logic skills are. Today, Brightside gives you the opportunity to feel like a real detective by solving cases using just a few hints. After each riddle, you will have 15 seconds to think it over. If you need more time to think, just pause the video. And if you crack at least one mystery, hit the like button. All right, Sherlock, here we go. Counting down from number 8, escape. Once a famous detective, Stevenson, had to find an escaped prisoner. He knew the criminal was hiding in one of these houses, but he had to know the exact address so as to not frighten the criminal away. First, he took a photo of the houses with the help of a drone. When he looked at the photo, he realized where the criminal was. So, can you understand where that fugitive was and what helped the detective find him? You have 15 seconds. Your time has started. Are you ready to check your guesses? The murderer was in house A. You see, the car standing nearby was the only car parked facing the road. It would let the criminal escape quickly. Number 7. Detective's tragedy. One morning, the detective had an argument with his wife and went away without his cell phone and the keys. In the evening, when he returned home, he found his colleague, his scared wife, and a murdered man. Stephen's wife told her story. I was sitting in the living room when I heard the doorbell. I thought it was my husband and opened the door, but a criminal pushed me, and so I stabbed him with a knife. The detective ordered the policeman to arrest his wife because she had planned to kill him. How did the detective figure it out? Time to rack your brain.
And now for the rings.
And we're gonna get mad.
Unfortunately, Mrs. Stevens indeed planned to kill her husband. She went to open the door with a knife because she thought it was her husband. Number 6. Friendly murder. Mary and Ben lived with their 4 friends. One day, Ben came home and found Mary dead on a sofa. Bummer. He called the police. The detective arrived and realized that Mary had been killed not so long ago. He interrogated all 4 friends. That's what their stories told. Mia was in the kitchen and said she'd come home 2 hours ago and gone to the kitchen. John was reading a book in the garden. He said he hadn't left the place that day. Jennifer said she had been swimming in a swimming pool for 3 hours. Jane was painting in her room. Unexpectedly, the detective asked everyone to show him their hands and found out who lied to him immediately. That person was the murderer. How did Stevens uncover the criminal? Time is ticking away. Tick-tock. Who do you think the detective was checking? Well, time is out. Here's the answer. Pay attention to the hands of Jennifer. If she had been swimming in the pool for so long, the skin on her palms would have been wrinkled. Oh, Jennifer, your pruny hands gave you away. Number 5. Blood ties. A millionaire was shot in the forehead at his own home. Detective Stevens spoke to the millionaire's 3 sons, Jack, John, and James, who were at home. Jack said that night, John, their father, let me guess, the wife's name is Jane, I'll bet. Anyway, the father had been at an official reception. They arrived home and entered the living room. His father came in first, then John and Jack himself. When their father came up to the stairs, James entered the living room and shot their father. John confirmed Jack's information. James said he had visited his friends that night. When he arrived home, his father had already been dead. The detective understood everything immediately. So, who was the killer, and how did Stevens resolve that case? What do you think? The word of one brother against 2 others. A tricky case. Or have you already figured out what happened? Let's check if you are right. John and Jack lied. If James had killed their father, a bullet would have shot him in the nape because he wanted to go upstairs. However, the wound was on his forehead. All right, I was thinking it was Jane, but no. Number 4, romantic journey.